Well, with the way everything has played out this summer, with virus and everybody having to stay home and things not being open, we love playing in the water. I love swimming. And at some point I came across the idea of this on YouTube, like a lot of other people I'm sure, getting these stock tanks and converting them into pools. It's a pretty simple project you can do. We got ours at a Tractor Supply store, and the hardest part was getting it home, really, making sure it's in stock. I'll tell you, best thing about getting it home was don't pay the delivery fee, which could be $80 to $90. We just rented a truck from Home Depot for about $20 for about 75 minutes, and that was plenty of time to get it home. That was a good suggestion from my buddy Tim. It's good to have an extra set of hands to get it off the truck, to get it in here. But ultimately, it's not too difficult to maneuver. These things only weigh about 150 pounds or so. So if you can set it up on its side, it's easy enough to maneuver and roll around by yourself. You can get leverage on it. If not, 2 people is more than sufficient to put it where you want it to. Me, like I said, we kind of took the easy way. We didn't spend a whole lot of time of flattening and leveling the ground or anything. We just found a pretty flat spot in the backyard, cut the grass really short, put the tub out here in a spot that wasn't under trees or anything, which had lots of sun, made sure there was no rocks or hard sticks or anything sticking up, and just set it down. And we knew it wasn't perfectly level. We checked it as about a ½ inch to 1 inch off, which resulted in about 2 inches of difference, because over here is our low end. But maybe next summer we'll look at making this a more permanent thing and make adjustments to it. Also, once we got our position picked out, we had to fill it up after cleaning any little dirt out. We just used our standard water hose, put it in there on full blast. It took, I'd say, about 5 hours and 15 minutes to fill it up. That seems pretty standard with what most people seem to be experiencing. So that, and I'm not sure how much it'll affect our water bill, but we generally do about 700 to 800 gallons of water per month on our water bill. Our water bill is about $55 on average. I expect, since we're doubling our water usage this month, that we'll probably double our water bill. So fill this tank up at approximately 700 gallons. I'd expect my water bill to be about $100 to $120 a month. So, well, meaning for the fill up month anyway. We'll see. Another thing to pay attention to is placement of your pool. It's real important that you have a good temperature, probably anywhere from about 86 degrees and up. The sun's going to do most of the work, so where I live, the sun's going to come up right over the house early in the morning, and it's going to be beating down on this pool all day, making it nice and warm. And right now, my little chlorinator has a thermometer built into it. It is about, let's see, about 88, 89 degrees. I think that is perfect for what I want. And it will stay that way into the night. And the sun goes straight up over the house and will set up behind us until about 6 o'clock or so. We'll start being in the shade. But all that built up heat will keep this pool nice and warm for your swimming activities later into the evening. And even at night, it won't even cool down that much. Yesterday though, we had a nice overcast, cloudy day, and it rained a little bit. Didn't have a lot of bright sun. By the time it was bright, this was sitting in the shade later in the evening. But the temperature had dropped to about 81, 82 degrees according to the thermometer, and it was very noticeable. It's amazing how 6 degrees of water temperature makes you feel comfortable, and then cold, almost freezing. But to each their own, you'll figure out your preference, but I think we got a nice spot for this pool. One of the things you're going to have to pay attention to is the water level. Now this one, as I said before, it wasn't perfectly level when I started, but you can see where the water level is right now. As I get in, I'm a big dude, 6'5". You can watch the water rise. I displace a lot of water. So, just move slowly, pay attention to that. So hopefully that's more in focus now. But anyway, the water was about 2 inches below that rounded lip. Now it's basically touching the bottom of the lip, and I'm just sitting in the water, so I got about half to 2/3 of my body in here. And as I go down further, I'm submersing my shoulders. You can see it raise up, so it's getting higher and higher, and that's just me. So you got to pay attention to that. Then you can get some people in the tub. I got my daughter out here with me. We're having some fun. You can probably get about 4 people in here at a time. You just got to watch your water levels, right, baby? Another thing I didn't really see anybody mention or talk about much is these pools have been welded shut at the seams. You can see right there on the end, that's a major weld. And then right around the bottom, where the flat part meets the round part of the pool, it's welded. And then these 2 sheets are also, it looks like, welded together right down the middle. You'll see these big white pasty looking things on it. And it is some kind of paste sealant, and it's, I guess, reinforcement for the welds. But just one thing to note, if you push on it, it is, you know, pasty. You can make a dent in it, and you could probably scratch it off if you put enough effort in it. So just something to be aware of for kids or people that might pick at it. You don't want to mess that up. Let's go underwater and take a little look at it.
Also, here's the drain plug.
Also, there's a drain plug down there if you want to empty your tank nice and slow. Right here. One of the things I was worried about was how strong these things were. You know, because these are made for being cattle and horse troughs holding water out in the fields. You know, 700 gallons, that's a lot of weight, like 2.5 tons or something. 8 gallons or 8+ pounds per gallon of water. But, you know, they're not really designed for being pools, but it's nice to know that with all that water and then the bodies of people in here, and the welds and the paste that backs up the welds, it's nice to know that that's holding up. Like I said, I'm a big dude, and these rails feel very strong, and when I want to stand up, I have no problem pressing down on this to lift myself up, getting in or out. They're very, very sturdy. I don't worry about breaking it at all. I do not recommend standing directly on these seams where the putty and the welds are at the seams and the edges of the pool. But you know, again, not everybody's gonna be a hazard to it like I would be, but I still kind of avoid standing right next to them or anything. Anyway, I have a 100% confidence that this pool is going to last a while. It hasn't shown any signs of leaking or anything, and my fears were, put to rest. It's one of the things I thought was maybe it might leak, then what? I just filled it up with 700 gallons of water. But the Tractor Supply Company, you can always return these. They are covered with some kind of limited warranty. They would get you another one. Of course, that would take time, but it's nice to know that these things work. We're out here bright and early looking at the stock pool. That's one of the most important pieces, this Intex 1500 filter pump, which is really overkill for this kind of pool. But that's all I was able to get. And it's first thing in the morning. It hasn't been on all night, so the water's been sitting still. You can see a little bit of dirt and debris has fallen into it. That's pretty normal. This pump moves 1,500 gallons per hour and has a timer built into it. You can have it off and on 2, 4, 6, 8, and 12 hours. I don't know if you can see that if it's too close. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on for about 2 hours. Got to put it back to the off position. Put it on 2. Fires right up. A little noisy. And the water will start pushing. And the air conditioner just cut on at the same time too. But I'm also going to grab that skimmer pole and start doing a little skimming. Okay, a couple of obvious things about this pool. I'm sure some people are asking, why is my pump sitting up on a chair and why are my hoses hanging over the side? Yeah, all the videos you've seen people cut holes in the side of this with a hole saw and then set them into the side of the pool, just like a real pool would be. And that's what I had every intention of doing. And then I started thinking, I'm not sure if I'm ready to be that permanent just yet. Honestly, I was a little paranoid. I didn't want to damage my pool permanently. And I just thought, well, I'm not sure exactly what I'm ready to do, where I want to move my pool, what I want to do with everything. So I decided just to get kind of simple with it and just dangled the hoses over the side. I don't know if you... And with the hoses dangling down in the water, they don't stay put very well. That's why you see what looks like a milk jug down there that was meant to hold it down, but that's full of water, and it was actually neutrally buoyant, kind of like the torpedoes. And then I got smarter, and that's got this big magnet. I'll go underwater and show that to you here in a minute. But I got a magnet holding it to the side and some cables wrapped around it just to hold everything in place, and I put this one blowing the water this way to make that swirl effect, and the intake is behind the milk jug over there. Okay, here's a little closer look. It's just one of those little fishing magnets that I got holding things down in there with. Anyway, that's not a permanent solution by any means. It's just what I'm doing for now. Also, like I said, this pump was just sitting up on the chair because I was doing some testing with it. Had some problems getting it started. But it will be sitting down here on some stepping stones to be a more permanent position for while I have this tub out here this summer. Also, just to note that I did say this is a 1,500 gallon per hour pump, which is way overkill for a stock pot or stock pool, which only has 700 gallons water in it. And basically that's going to circulate about 25 gallons of water or so per minute, and that means over the course of the hour it's going to circulate this whole pool of water multiple times in theory. And also, since it's such a small amount of water, you don't really need to run this thing all day. If you follow the directions in the guidebook, the smallest pools they have are 4,000 gallons of water, and I think there's one that maybe was 3,500 gallons of water, and their recommended time for running your filter pump was 4 hours on those. So if you do the math, I mean, my goodness, this thing wouldn't need half that, honestly. But since the timer has an on and off setting, along with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12, really, I mean, 2 hours a day probably should be plenty, unless you think that your pool needs more time to circulate. But, you know, that's a personal call. So basically for me, I would just turn this on when I know I'm getting ready to get in it, or while I'm in it, and 2 hours is probably more than enough time. And as I get more experience with it over the summer, I'll adjust that as needed. Another thing to mention about this pump is if you ever have any problems with it, if it sounds like it's not working as good or something, you might have some air sucked up in the system. And that's actually what happened to me when I started, because the way I have mine set up at the moment. But if that happens, it's a quick fix. It has this air release valve. You just slowly turn it, not a lot, but you'll start hearing some air hiss if there's air in there. And if not, you turn it until water comes out. It's starting to drip right now, and you can see that. And don't take it all the way up, because water will go everywhere, just so you can see it. Okay, yeah, see, I took it too far, but just put it right back in. And that's one way to clear the air out of your system. It has another valve right here for when you're changing the filter or something. I believe they call that the debris release. So if there's any dirt in the filter container area, it'll just fall out when you unplug that. I have only been having mine run a few days, so that should not be an issue for us at all. A bug just fell in here. I'm gonna have to rescue him here in a second. Anyway, one of the problems I had when starting my pump was it made a grinding noise, like it wasn't doing anything. And part of it was because maybe I didn't have gravity working on my side because of the way I have my hoses put to the water pump. But to get past that, to get your pump started, you got to do what they call prime it. And this wasn't in the instruction book or anything, but if you read around on the internet, you'll probably find this suggestion, but it makes perfect sense. If it's sucking air, it's not sucking water, and that's what the pump is made to do. So basically all I had to do was open that filter area right there. I filled it up with water from the hose until it stayed in there pretty good. And then I took the intake hose, which sucks water, and then I put the hose in there and filled it up with water as well, and then it started getting primed. It started having pressure build up, and then it started sucking water. Dropped that hose down into the pool, had the other hose in there already because it was putting water back into the pool, and that fixed that problem real simple. So just a tip in case you run into that kind of issue, you got to prime the pump. Another thing in here, it's going to be a never-ending battle with dirt and debris, stuff you bring in off your feet, stuff that comes in, falls off of trees or insects or whatnot. So it's good to have one of these pool skimmers. Every time I get in here, I don't know if you can see all these leaves and things in here. The pump filter does a good job of getting stuff on the bottom, and what it doesn't get tends to settle right in the middle because of the whirlpool action created by the water. But every day, just like any pool, get in the habit of getting your pool skimmer and just take a few minutes and skim back and forth, get all the major stuff. It's not hard. So you get it all up in there and just take it over the side. Just tap, tap. Done, that easy. And this is a 4-foot extendable pole. And I would normally keep the pole on when I'm standing outside the pool. However, these section poles come come off pretty easy. You may find it easier just to have a little 1-foot handle or whatever. You just sit here, you can still skim everything out. Oop, there's a little bug. And like I said, it don't take much. Just get it out. Every pool is going to have this problem. Your filter's not going to get it all. It's just part of the price to pay for having a pool. Again, the water's looking much better. Got a lot of that silt and stuff out that's falling in here. Don't kill yourself trying to make it perfect. It's never going to be perfect. It's just something you got to do on a daily basis as much as possible. Make a game out of it. You'll get your own technique. Get the kids to do it. Whatever. Get that stuff out of your pool so you can enjoy it. Yeah, so I'm standing outside the pool today. Just gonna use the whole length of the pool with the pole. Just get as much of the bugs and whatnot that I see real quick. Then I'll just hop right in and get cool and do the rest of it from inside. Quick and easy, but necessary. Keep your pool clean. We're out here pretty early. I'd say it's about 10:30. Sun's way up there coming over the house. We'll start warming up the pool. Just a quick check on the water temperature. It is sitting at about 85 degrees, so it has cooled off about 4 degrees since yesterday. But it won't take long for it to get back up around 88, 89 where it's really, really comfortable. Also, just about 2 minutes of work with that skimmer pole. Pool is pretty clean. There's still little things in there, especially around the bottom, but like I said, it's never going to be perfect, but what you don't want are the little bugs and things, the obvious big stuff floating around where the kids will go, ooh, it's gross, don't want to swim. But just a couple of minutes takes care of that problem. One of the other things you need to make sure you do with your pool is take care of the chemistry. So you get you some of these chlorine tabs. This is one, and I've seen a lot of people's videos they tend to get. You can get this and much of everything else on Amazon.com. And those are the 1-inch chlorine pills. In there, it's about 1.5 pounds of chlorine. And then one of these little chlorinator floaty things. And you basically just put 2 of them in there. Hang on. And you just pop 2 of the pills in there. Most people say that 2 in a tub like this will last about 2 weeks. We'll see if that's true or not. This has little, you can turn this bottom ring and you can open up more holes to get more chlorine. But they got these 2 holes on the bottom and 2 holes here where water goes in. And I've heard other people say that they keep it closed all the way and just let those holes on the bottom do the job. But we'll see how it goes and adjust as needed, because we also got to test the chemistry of the water with test strips. Okay, so for testing our water, we got this little kit here with these test strips. So we're going to take the stick and dip it in the water. Then it says count to 15, 14, 13, 12. Okay, we waited our 15 seconds. Then we're going to get the bottle and compare the colors to it. So once we got the stick on here, we look at the meter on the back sticker of the bottle, and in each category it looks like we're on the slightly low end for pH, chlorine, alkalinity, and stabilizer. So maybe we need to open up our chlorine a little bit more to get some more chemicals in the water. Otherwise, just look at the instructions if you're not sure what to do. But we've only been in here 3 days and maybe just need some more time, but either way, we'll follow the directions and get our water in that okay zone. Anyway, it's a good idea to check the chemical makeup of your water here. By the way, these are Toy-Pedos, one of the best pool toys ever, the big ones and the small ones. I love these things. They work in this pool just fine. They are neutrally buoyant, which lets them float so easily or travel through the water just like a fish. Love them to death. Another thing about projects and extra things I've seen people do is paint their pool, putting decks on these things, all kinds of landscaping projects and fountains, and those are all nice and neat. Me, I just wanted to get mine going as quick as possible. As far as a deck goes, I thought about it. I got this backyard here and there is space to do it. I suppose it's possible. What would I use the deck for other than sitting on? I guess dangling your feet into the pool. Honestly, I don't know, because I have a patio over here. I put some bricks, these red stepping stones in there to hop in. That helps cut down on any dirt on the feet or grass or anything getting in here when we're out here. But I'll be honest with you, this steel color, this galvanized steel, I just think is really pretty. And with the clear water, I mean, it looks like a nice clear pool. Initially I thought about, hey, what if we made it blue like regular swimming pools, because that's what I see people wanting to do, or I think I've seen some go black. But I just like the straight up steel color. I just think it's pretty. It looks like a nice clear pool of water. I'm really glad we have this stock pool in the backyard. Honestly, I've never spent much time in my backyard because there's just nothing back here. Nobody wants to come back here. It's just a bunch of grass to cut. In the last 3 days since we've had this pool, I just like sitting in the pool, looking around, contemplating life, thinking about stuff. That's what I like to do. But I also noticed all the neglect I've done. I've let these weeds and bushes take over areas of the fence. I hate cutting grass, but over there I got a jungle I need to trim down, and some weeds grow a little high around the house. But you know, it's just little things you need to trim up to make your house look nicer. And you know, you just don't really think about it when you're not out here, but when you're out here looking at it, you're like, oh, I got a lot of work to do. But aside from that, just having this pool, it's just nice to be in your house on these hot days and feel like jumping in and come out here and cool off, and it's yours and you made it and you don't have to go anywhere. It's nice and simple. And it's not like you can swim around and bounce like you would at water country, you know, wave pools or something, but you know, at least it's something. Bigger than a bathtub. It's not a kiddie pool, but you know, you got a couple of adults, some kids, come out here and sit and just talk and have drinks and play a little bit. And it's really nice to cool off. It's just extremely relaxing. Right now there's a breeze blowing. The sun's beating down. It's about 11 o'clock or so, and I couldn't be happier right now. Alright, here's the daughter playing in the pool. She's like 5'6" or something. She's having fun, right? Alright, bye. Wave bye.